Hello, my name is Saira. मेरो नाम सायरा हो.
मेरो नाम Amber हो. Hi, I'm Amber. Welcome to my channel.
Hello guys, this is Saira. मेरो नाम सायरा हो.
I am so happy to have Saira with me today. She's a friend of mine that I met in Nepal, and she is a student in the United States for the moment, and I am just so happy that she wanted to come on my channel today, and we're going to make a video together for you about communication between cultures. So one of the things that we talk about here on this channel is about communication, specifically communication between cultures. And so we talk about language, we talk about traveling and things like that. And today what we're going to talk about is things that both of us have seen in each other's cultures, that when we first saw them we didn't understand them, or they were strange or weird to us. And hopefully through talking about them, the other person will get a chance to be like, oh no, this is why we do that, or this is why we do that. And it'll help us understand each other a little bit better, understand our cultures a little bit better. Oh, for those of you who don't know, or if you're new here, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And please give a like for Saira because I love having her here. Today, we want to encourage you to ask questions when you meet someone that does things differently than you. That's one of my favorite things when I meet somebody, is to ask them questions or to have them ask me questions, and we get to talk. Obviously, timing is important, and the way you do it is important.
Yeah.
You need to ask kindly.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's important to say that when we say that, hold on, let me think how I want to say this. So we're talking a lot about right and wrong, and that there's no right way to do this, no wrong way to do this. I feel like this should be understood, but I'm going to say it just in case. There are some things that are wrong no matter where you are, and there are some things that are right no matter where you are. It's always right to be kind. It's always wrong to hate someone. Things like that.
Definitely.
I mean, let's just say 10 Commandments, you know? Love your neighbor as yourself, love God with all your heart. Those things are universal.
It's just that some things in your culture that you're doing might have been a good thing, and in another culture it's kind of offensive. Or maybe there are some things that was offensive in your culture, but here it's chill, fine. So I think communication makes it easier to make it understand that this is fine and this is not.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So just to clarify, those are the kind of things we're talking about today. The things that there's not like a moral difference between them. It's just like, oh, red means stop in your country, and maybe purple means stop in my country. Things like that. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're each going to share 3 things that we've seen in each other's cultures that we didn't understand at first, and we're going to get each other's reactions to that and talk about it. You ready?
It's gonna be fun.
All right, let's do this. I've been to Nepal twice for visits, and obviously, as I said before,
I've been doing school here for, it's been 1.5 years now, actually.
She's
I can't
an
even
expert
believe.
now.
Not really, I'm just learning. But I've pretty much been adjusted to the culture, I have to say, to the point that I can make a video about it.
All right, so you go first. What's something you saw?
So something different from my country. It's a funny story. So back home, where I lived, we had a guest. He was a paying guest, and he was from America, and he lived in our house. And in our country, like, it's weird and funny, but we don't get inside the house with our shoes on.
That's not weird.
It sounds weird here, but that's how we grew up. So like, if you go out, you wear the shoes outside, and then you keep it outside, and you change to like slippers inside the house. And so you wash your shoes outside. Those are things that are dirty in your house. You don't bring them inside in my culture. So when I came here, like, you go to class in the same shoes, you go to the road, you go to the shopping mall, like, you're in the same shoe the entire day. And I was talking about the guests we had. So one day he went on a hike and he came back, and my mom saw him washing the shoes in the sink, and my mom was, oh my gosh, those are dirty shoes. What are you doing? You should wash it outside the house in the like the water fountain down there. And he was like, no, it's fine to wash it in the sink. It's just like mud. I'm taking out. And my mom, we don't do it here. You should wash it outside. So I think when I came here, I was like, oh, you wear the shoe. Don't you change it to slipper? Or like, it's dirty. I don't like it. But I think, yeah, I communicated about it and say, and learned that it's fine to wear shoes inside in this state, but in our country we usually keep our shoes outside because, I mean, because it's dirty outside, it's kind of reasonable to think it's dirty outside, there might be germs we'll be taking, so we just think that way, that shoes are like, they go on the ground, they go everywhere, those are dirty, so we keep them outside, whereas here, you just keep your shoes everywhere you go.
I love how excited you get about this. You're like, shoes are dirty. No. My response to that would be that I think there's a variety of people in the States on that opinion. Like, I've heard friends argue about whether or not to wear shoes in the house or not. And so if you only meet people that wear their shoes in the house, you'd be like, oh, wow, that is so weird. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if you live in the States, it might depend on what part of the States you live in, but I know that here, I've heard that be an issue. Some people think it's really disgusting, and some people are like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
But
in common, I think.
Yes.
People wear it everywhere here. And in common, in our country, they don't wear it inside.
Yeah. Yes. So we have thing number one that is definitely very different.
Yes, very different.
I know I'm going to say something, and you're going to get a chance to respond to what your response would be to something that I thought was strange. And I feel funny saying this because even though it's different, I know it's just different. There's nothing wrong with it.
It's okay. It's just a difference, and it is something.
It is what it is. So I think the first thing that caused me to feel a little bit, I don't want to say offended, that might be a strong word, but kind of like, that's kind of weird. Doesn't make me feel the greatest. When I went to Nepal, if you're talking to someone and they're kind of agreeing with you or they're listening to you, or you ask them a question, like a direct answer, like let's say I was talking to one of the children there and I was like, oh, would you like to have this to eat? Like, a piece of candy or something. And they would do this. And in the States, that kind of motion means I don't care, whatever. But in Nepal, that's how you don't nod your head yes, you shake it like this back and forth to say yes. And I knew, somebody had told me that, so I knew that meant yes, but I still couldn't get past my culture of this means I don't care.
That's so funny. Okay, for that, so in Nepal, maybe a lot of people are like that. They're pretty shy with a new person. I have to say, like, if you meet a new person, here you start communication, you're like so good friends in 10 minutes. But in our country, it's a little bit harder to start a conversation and be so open to people. It might depend on people, but mostly you're kind of shy. So I think that kid was kind of shy and like, yeah, sure. Not like, I want it. No, it's not that direct up there. We try to be a little kind. When you're a kid, you learn to please be kind to visitors, foreigners. So maybe he was like, sure, but here it's like, I don't care. So it was a miscommunication, I have to say.
No, it's just a difference of
it's
the
a difference.
Gesture,
Yeah, maybe like, if he had said yes, it would have been easier, but he was too shy and he just said.
What do you do when you're here, when you're nodding in agreement or something like that? Do you nod or do you do this?
I think I nod. I've come across that and I nod and they're like, is that a yes or no? And I'm like, that's an S, yes. So maybe here we speak it out. In our country, I think we just nod. No? Yes.
Or this.
Yeah. Sure.
At the Christmas party that I was at, and if you haven't seen that, I'll link it down below, but just in December, I was at a Christmas party, and I had forgotten that, and I started seeing it around me again. When people were talking, they were doing this, and I thought, that means yes, but I have to remind myself that's what it means.
Yeah. Okay, let's come up with the second point I found different out here is about greeting the guest and about food. So in our country, if you're a guest, you go to somebody's house, they're not going to let you out without eating tons of food. It's a culture. They think like guests are very special. God sent, that's their thinking, that God sent guests to your house, so you need to like greet them properly, respect them, feed them properly when they leave. So when you go to visit someone, they'll come up with a cup of tea, like snacks, or maybe, hey, stay, you need to have dinner, we're cooking, please don't go, stay. But here, people are more organized and planned. So like today I'm gonna wake up, eat breakfast at 7:30, and I'm eating lunch with my friend at 2 and dinner at 8 with another friend. So you have plans. And so you don't go to somebody's house, spend so much time eating because you already have a plan with somebody else. So you don't do that in here, which was kind of weird. But back home, when you're a guest and you go to somebody's house, they feed you and like dinner, you stay until, or maybe overnight sometimes. It's kind of a cultural difference, which kind of made me, oh, do they not like guests, or what is it? I was kind of confused at first because it was kind of awkward for me, like how we greeted guests and how they greeted. But at first I was like, oh, they don't like guests maybe. But later I realized that they're more organized and they have plans. So they expect you to have plans already, so they don't waste time. Do you want to have dinner or lunch or everything up here? No, you're planned, organized. So I think that's something I found was something different from my culture than in here.
I think my only response to that would be that I think it's fascinating that you figured out why it's that way.
Yeah.
Because I know that our cultures are a little different that way. I kind of prefer the Nepali way. But I had never stopped. Yeah, exactly. I never, because when I have somebody at our house, I want to feed them, but that's not across the board. That's not as common in the States. But I prefer that way of doing things. But I had never realized that why we do it differently is the organization.
Or maybe here, they think like you're forcing someone to stay and eat, but in our country, we're just respecting and greeting them, like making them stay and eat. But here, you might think it's not appropriate to make someone stay and eat. They have plans, they have work to do, you know, so maybe that's cultural difference that I come across and figured out.
She's pretty smart. I did not know that that's why we do that, but I think that is why we do that.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, my second thing has to do with food as well.
Yay.
I love food so much. We should do something where we eat food on this channel. Like, yes.
Maybe Nepali food and American food.
This is completely random, but I got to try a Korean snack for the first time yesterday.
Oh, that's cool.
It was very good. Okay, so food. For me, the culture I grew up in is the south of the United States, and here it's if you feel close to someone or you want to be close to someone, the thing you do is you invite them to eat with you. And you like, oh, let's go have coffee together, or like come over to my house and let's have a meal together, and you all sit down around the table and you talk and you get to know each other and you become closer. Well, when we went to Nepal, and they were so hospitable, but when we sat down to eat most places, they put us at one table and everybody else sat at a different table. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you don't want to be friends with me? You're sitting all the way over there, and we're sitting here, because in our culture, the closer you feel to someone, the more likely you are to eat with them at the same table.
Yeah, okay. I come across that as well. In my country, what she said was, when you have a guest, they're the first person in the house. They're the most respected people. So you set a table for them, you prepare food and then you feed them as much as they want, like until they're very happy. And then you eat. So you let the guests sit there, have their food. You sit aside and like eat on your own plate, but you make them happy. That's kind of way they respect guests. But here, if you want to know someone, you want to have a closer relation, you sit in the same table, you have a coffee together, grab a lunch together, have some talk. So I think Nepalis were trying to greet foreigners and make them happy, but foreigners are more happy when you sit in the same table, exchange your thoughts, and have a good time. So it's the way how they greet people or how they communicate with people.
That is a really interesting difference.
That's just a different way of expressing love.
It is. And it's, I mean, it's very touching too that somebody would want to do that, you know, and make you feel so honored and special. I think just being in the South, the food is so closely tied to relationships that was something that it was very hard for me to get used to the idea of doing it differently.
Yeah.
All right, we're down to our last two things, and I think I'm going to go first on this one so that we can end with something from you, Syra. So something that was difficult for me to get used to is, again, growing up in the South, something that's really super important to us is manners and what you do and don't do. And something that's considered polite here is you've got to say your please and your thank you. You got to say please and thank you, and you have to say it a lot. Yes. And you need to say you're welcome and things like that. So if someone does even the smallest thing for you, when you're a little kid, that's what your parents tell you all the time. What do you say? Say thank you, say please, what's the magic word? So when I got to Nepal, obviously you all use please and thank you, but you don't use them in the same way that we do. Yeah. I remember one time we were driving along and the car in front of us had gotten kind of stuck in a traffic situation, and a bunch of men got out of their cars and jumped out to help lift the car out of the road so it would clear up the traffic. Okay. And I was watching, and it struck me that after they finished, everybody just turned around and went back to their cars, and the driver was never like, oh, thank you, he just went on his way. And I was like, I would never see that happen in Virginia, ever.
Yeah. So talking about that, I think she's right. We don't use thank you, please, and these words more often than we are supposed to. So yeah, like she said, they helped and they went, and they may have shaked hands, or I don't know what they did, but they didn't say thank you. It's just like, oh, they helped, we got along, now they are free of traffic so we can move along. Or I don't know what they thought down there, but it is true that we do not use thank you, please, and these words more often we do here than back there. Like when I'm here, get a coffee, thank you, thanks for making, or please, can you open the door for me? But back home, hey, can you open the door? Coffee, yeah. So it's used more in this country, and it's considered more polite out here. But in our country, we don't even use that more often. Even though you're polite, you might not use the word thank you. There is more other ways of expressing thank you and please.
You also have two different ways of talking to people as well, and one's more formal and polite.
Yeah.
So maybe it's kind of built into the language. You assume the person's being polite if they're using the right.
Yeah, you can tell by his actions and the way he talks how polite that person is. Also in our country, the word you have 3 levels. Have you
I can't remember all 3, but I remember the casual one is like tapai would be the more casual one, or the middle one?
So in in America, you say, if you meet a president, it's you, or your friend, it's still you. But in our country, there's 3 levels of respect. So tapai is like when you meet parents, someone you have to respect. You have to say tapai. That's a word of respect.
Oh, I had it backwards.
I'm saying you. So if I have to talk to her and I have to be respectful, I have to say her tapai and use those high-level words when I talk to her. That's politeness and kindness and respect. And if it's friends, if it's casual, it's timi. So you is called timi, and it's more informal way of saying you. But if it's like siblings, you yell at each other all the time, or best friends, then it's called ta. It's called a word of disrespect, basically, but that's usually used when you're with friends and person you are super comfortable with. So like she said, they don't say thank you, but they respect. Maybe they use the word of high respect while talking to certain people and use the informal one. So that's how you know if that person is respecting you or being polite, or angry at you and being not polite. That's our culture.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
All right, what's your last thing?
The last thing I'm gonna talk about might be very funny, but in our country, some people keep dogs, cat as pet, and some do not. So there's a lot of street dogs out there, and there's a lot of dog biting people. Like if you go to a new house, some people give dog as a pet. It's inside. It's just like this. It's like you play with dogs, you sleep with dogs. But some people, for them, dog is their guard. Like they guard their house so that no thieves come. It's not, the security is not as good as in America. Like people might break into your house, or it's a little bit insecure, I have to say. So they give dogs to watch their house. So it's like a security guard for your house, and they're not considered pets, so they bite you. So when you go to a new house, the first thing I do is I ask, do you have a dog? Can you tie the dog up there so that I get inside and you keep that out? So I used to be super afraid of dogs because I've seen, once I was walking with my grandma and a dog came and just bite her. So I see the dog just attack her and like bite and take a muscle out of her knee, which made me so afraid that whenever I see dogs, I stay like 5 feet away. Then when I came here, everybody said, oh, such a cute dog. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry,
no.
I can't. But the more I knew, and the more like I see people getting closer, and the dog does nothing to you now. So I'm trying to get more comfortable with dogs and cats these days, but still I have that fear inside that dogs bite. So sometimes I can't be as comfortable as everybody is because I've had that fear inside me that I saw that dog bite my grandma. So it's still, I still have the scar, I have to say. Like dogs are scary for me. But I try to get along with dogs and I try to love them, but I can't love them with all my heart because I have that fear that dogs bite. So this is something really strange out here.
How do you feel about cats?
Well, we had a cat. So a random cat came in our house and we were like, my mom was like, oh, I feel bad for that cat. So we gave some milk and rice. And then it came back the other day. We gave some more. So it started coming again and again. The first time I was really annoyed. Mom, you have to get rid of that cat. I can't stand. But like he comes every day and I see him every day now. So I'm like, oh, now I like him. So I became a little more comfortable with cats than dogs because I haven't seen a cat scratch anyone. So maybe I'm more comfortable. And I also live with a cat a little more. But I never like cuddled with this a lot because I'm not that comfortable with animals. It just, I think the way I grew up as well.
That would make sense.
It might differ with person in Nepal. Maybe somebody grew up with pets might be very comfortable with dogs and cats. But usually, or I would say like 70% people keep dogs at their guard. So people are usually scared of dogs.
That makes sense. I remember walking on the streets of Nepal and everybody in our group was like, oh, look at the dog, look at the dog. And the Nepalis were like,
yeah,
what's the deal about the dogs? We're not sure.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, we want to take them all home with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, it probably wouldn't have been a good idea because they probably would not have been the cuddling sorts of dogs.
Yeah.
At least, probably not most of them.
Probably not most of them because they're just left and they're allowed to bite, bite. So the dogs grew up that way, so they don't know how to cuddle.
Well, that takes us through all 6 things that we're going to share today. 3 from the perspective of Nepal and 3 from the perspective of the United States.
Yes.
Sorry, I can't talk straight. But thank you so much for watching this. I would love to hear from you because I know that I have a lot of viewers that are from various countries, and I'm sure you have something that you've seen from another culture that you think is strange, or you know there's something that y'all do that other people think is different. So here's your chance to explain yourself. Say this is why we do what we do and what our thinking is behind it.
Yeah.
Sarah, thank you so much, Baini, for being
You're
here.
welcome.
Dhanyabad, deri deri dhanyabad.
Swagatam. So I just wanted to say, from what I've learned through cross-cultural experience, explaining yourself and your actions and asking people why they do that, why is it so, why is this wrong, this right, is a very important thing if you are trying to learn a new culture, if you're in a new culture, because when you explain things, communicate, you understand, and now you think what is good to do and what is not. So expressing yourself and asking people about the things you don't understand is the most important thing, to be in a cross culture and learn more and grow in it. And thank you for watching. Like the video, subscribe her channel. We're gonna come up with new things.
I need to hire you. You're great. She's great.
We're gonna rock it. So please, guys, thank you for watching.
Yes,
Have a
thank
great
you.
day.
Do you want to do my outro with me? Do you know how I do it?
No.
Okay. It's like, I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. Ciao. You want to try it with me? Yeah, ciao is goodbye.
Okay.
I think it's technically Portuguese, but Hondurans say it as well.
Yes.
So, ready?
So,
I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. Ciao.